Welcome to Fat Kids Food Porn. Today we're going to make some roasted vegetable lasagna. Won't be any meat in this dish. So if you have any vegetarian or pescatarian friends that you really want to impress or just want to give them a great meal, you got to check this out. I'm going to start off by making fresh lasagna noodles. The wife and I put off for years buying one of these damn KitchenAids. Finally, we bit the bullet, and now I use and abuse this thing more than she does, even though it was her Christmas present. So, we're going to start off with some whole wheat flour. I'm going to do wheat noodles today. I'd seen on something from a couple older Italian ladies, and they said start off with a couple handfuls for 2 to 3 people. It's actually turned out to where that's more than enough for 3 to 4 people wherever you're making it. So you essentially just slap it down on your countertop. You're gonna make a little well. Once I have that, I've got 3 eggs to go inside of that well. So just crack your eggs, slap them right inside your little handy dandy well that you've made there. Adjust as needed so that you don't have any leakage. So now I've got those in here. I'm going to take some extra virgin olive oil. I don't measure shit, so we'll call it a tablespoon, teaspoon, whatever the hell. Squirt some of that in there. It's going to give some good texture to your noodles. I'm getting some leakage, so I got to readjust the old well. And then the last thing is I want to add some salt into this. Sea salt, kosher salt, whatever works best for you. So I've got my eggs in here. Got me a handy dandy fork. I'm going to bust up these egg yolks. And just kind of mix them up a little bit inside the well. One thing about this is you don't have to be perfect. That's the great thing about making fresh pasta. And once I got those mixed up, I'm going to start combining in with the flour. That's the great thing about working on the countertop. Just kind of move it around, get it in there. So as you see, I'm just getting all of this mixed in. Adding in more and more of the flour, just get all the wet with the dry. Bring it all together. Essentially what I'm working towards is I want to get this all mixed together, and then I'm going to create a little ball. The one nice thing about having Rosie is she's going to do the heavy lifting. So she's going to knead this shit for me. Typically you'll take 20 to 30 minutes of kneading, just depending on how fat you are and how much weight and pressure you can put onto it. But I'm going to use Rosie. I got the dough hook on here, so that way she can go ahead and knead this for me. Typically with this, I found I knead it anywhere from 10 to 12 minutes. I have not managed to mess pasta up, other than not kneading it enough. If you do not knead it enough, that's one quick and easy way to mess pasta up. All right, so I've got this brought into a little bit of a dough ball. You want to have this extra flour down here because as we lay out the noodles after thinning them out, gives us somewhere for it not to stick and for us to kind of cut up and give it that nice little design. So next up, I'm going to slap it in old Rosie here. Kick it on about 2. And just let that knead 10 to 12 minutes. Now, while I got Rosie doing the heavy lifting and kneading that dough for me, I'm going to go ahead and prepare my vegetables so that I can roast these off. The one thing with this, whenever you make it, I strongly suggest that you actually roast these. It just brings up that flavor and just makes it just really pop off. So I've got a couple of squash, a couple of zucchinis. I got a half onion I had still in the fridge, and I got 1 Roma tomato. The one thing you're going to see, I'm actually going to cheat a little bit. I'm going to use some canned fire roasted tomatoes with garlic. Oh man, they are spectacular. So now all the veggies are all chopped up. I got them put into a bowl. I have a little bit of rosemary that I added into there, but I clearly failed to add that to the wifey's shopping list when she went to the grocery store this week. So I was only able to add a little bit of the fresh. Got some extra virgin olive oil I'm gonna throw in here. So I have to cheat since I failed on the grocery list. I'm gonna just take some Italian seasoning, Slap that in here, and now it'll have all your rosemary, everything, your basil, all of that, just to give it a little bit of extra pop. Now I'm gonna throw a little bit of salt in here. All I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just toss this. Get it good and coated. A lot of the seasoning, just add a little bit more to it. Get them good and coated so whenever you stick them on the pan and roast those off, you have the flavors all over all of it and not just in one spot. So as you can see, got those pretty well coated. I'm gonna let this finish kneading. We'll get these added to the pan and get them ready for roasting. I preheated my oven to 400 degrees. I'm gonna roast these for about 30 minutes at that temperature. I was also able to refresh my drink. So essentially just take your roasting pan, put your veggies on there. You wanna try and get them in a single layer. It's not the end of the world if you don't. As you can see, I have a ton of veggies. And if you've never done this, and it's a great way to do it on the grill as well. And if you have to use some aluminum foil or something, or if you do it on the grill, fire roasting vegetables is just a phenomenal flavor. If you've never tried it, I strongly suggest that you get out there and do that. So what I want to do is I just want to make sure that she was able to get it done right. Essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull that pasta ball out of there. I'm going to take it, what I was telling you earlier about how you know when it's been kneaded enough. You put your thumbprint in there and you'll see it rise back at you. Once it's done that, you know your pasta's ready to rest. So anytime you do pasta, you want to let it rest. 30 minutes to 60 minutes is what I've seen and read. Typically I do mine for about 30 minutes because I'm fat and I'm ready to eat, but I got me some saran wrap already pre-cut. I'm gonna wrap that little dough ball in there. I'm gonna slap it in the fridge for 30 minutes. I'm gonna stick these vegetables in the oven for another 30 minutes, and I'm gonna sit back, drink me some rum, and chill out. For those of you that may have failed to plan to buy some garlic bread for this meal, no worries, I got an easy trick for you. So I've taken some margarine and some diced garlic and put it all together. What I'm doing is just kind of folding it all together. And then I just happen to have an old Italian sub sitting here. So what I'm gonna do is mix that all in together. I broke my sub in half. Essentially get it folded in, make sure everything's good to go there. And then I'm just gonna take that and spread that over the bread. I'm gonna add some cheddar cheese on top of it. And then whenever we're about ready to finish cooking, these will take about 5 to 6 minutes in the oven. 400, 425, call it. And oh man, you got a great piece of garlic bread to go with your meal. Ooh, these roasted veggies are done. While those are sitting there chilling, I'm gonna pull out the pasta dough. We're gonna get it rolled out and start making our lasagna noodles. So I got the pasta pulled out, got my handy dandy pasta cutter. What I'm doing is I'm gonna chunk this off in order for it to be able to feed smoothly through old Rosie here. So essentially I busted it down into thirds. I'm gonna smash these down a little bit so as I start to feed them through, they go through easier versus me sitting here fighting and getting pissed off at Rosie because it doesn't want to take that big of a piece of pasta dough. Now, as you can see too, why I left this flour all over the countertop, because this allows me to be able to effectively work with it. After your first time you put it through, you want to fold it in half. For lasagna noodles, I'm going to take this down to a level 5 if you have a Rosie. First sheet done, move on to the next ones. So the one thing I learned was I failed to buy the wifey a lasagna cutter. I didn't know this damn thing came with one. So I'm gonna go with the old fashioned way and just make some little, it all still works out the same until the wifey watches the video and then she'll bitch because she wants a lasagna cutter. All right, got the pasta out. Here's my lasagna dish. So essentially I want to figure out what is the right size for that. All right, we got the pasta noodles ready. I'm actually going to put one layer of pasta noodles down first. And then we're gonna start layering in all that goodness that I've been talking shit about all night. All right, first layer of noodles is in. What I'm going to put down first is a mixture of ricotta cheese, cottage cheese, and some mozzarella, layered on top with some baby spinach. For those of you that measure and want to know how much did I just put in there, let's see, this little container is 12 ounces. So if you really need to measure while you're cooking, I just slapped in 12 ounces of some cottage cheese. And I'm gonna stick some ricotta right on top of that. Just mix it all in together. And slap on some mozzarella, just a little bit. Don't need a whole lot. Let's call it a handful. I'm just gonna spread it around, make sure we got some mozzarella in there. Grab the spinach, just throw a layer of that spinach in there. All right, now we got layer 2. As I was talking about, I'm gonna add in some of these fire roasted tomatoes. I cheated, I'm using the can, but they're just fire roasted tomatoes. That juice is going to help with those noodles. And just got a little bit of extra garlic, but just that fire roasted, oh, it adds some great flavor to it. Spread that around. And then I'm gonna slap those roasted vegetables that I just finished off in the oven to this layer here. Do this so you guys can see what the hell it is that I'm doing. But yeah, these vegetables are nice and soft. They got some good seasoning to them, that olive oil, that Italian seasoning. I'm just gonna really help set this dish off. Great thing about homemade is you make it your own. It don't have to be absolutely pretty. We're gonna slap this in the oven, let it come together. So now I'm gonna finish this off. I'm using some spaghetti sauce, cheating again. You can get whatever kind makes you happy, whatever you truly enjoy. I like chunky. I have made fresh tomato sauce straight from the tomatoes. I've used canned tomato sauce, lots of different things. It's all up to you. It just depends on how much time you want to spend. Tonight I was wanting to spend a couple hours making a great meal for the people that I love. But if you have an entire day that you want to really spend, go and roast you some tomatoes, get them all cooked down and make you a fresh tomato sauce. Oh, it is so good. All right, got the sauce all spread out on there. I'm a cheese fanatic. As you can see, I'm fat. I truly do enjoy my cheese. So I'm gonna stick another layer of mozzarella on top, just for that additional flavor and just all that cheesiness. You cannot beat it. All right, last thing that we're gonna do, I'm gonna kick the oven down to 375. I'm gonna cook this for 45 minutes. I'm gonna stick some aluminum foil over top of it, and then we'll come back and set this dish off. So the oven just beeped at me. We're at 375 degrees, ready to slap this lasagna in the oven. I'm gonna stick it in for 30 minutes, covered with the aluminum foil. What I did with the aluminum foil is I tried to tin it so that it's not right on top of it, stealing all that mozzarella from us. So 30 minutes, and I'm gonna leave that 10 extra minutes, 10 to 15, and I'm gonna finish off our bread and give us time to really enjoy our meal. Oh, 35 minutes later, a little bit of rum, pulled this out, pull this aluminum foil off the top of it. All right. Now what we're gonna do, slap this back in for 10 more minutes. We're gonna put our garlic bread in and we're gonna finish this off.